Hello again, guys. So time for video number 2, Adele's For Reals Though tag. Finally. So this tag, I have it here. It was put out February 29th. So I know it's been a little bit here, but like I said, I hadn't had a chance to film. Here I am. I'm so excited. Here we go. First question is, don't mind me looking down, by the way, I'm just reading the questions. For reals though, what level of stitcher do you consider yourself to be? So I would say somewhere between comfortable beginner to starting to get into intermediate. I have tried some other fabrics now, not just Ada. I've tried a few specialty stitches, but not a ton. I've done like a satin stitch, I've done a lazy daisy. I finally feel pretty comfortable with French knots, so I think I'm getting into the intermediate stage. What does that say? I'm sorry, my camera is saying something. Anyway, all right, number 2. For reals though, how many whips and UFOs do you honestly have? This includes things that you gave up on and threw out. I currently have 35. One thing I do want to mention though, started projects for me don't necessarily mean whips. Sometimes I start stuff just because I want to have it ready to go, but I know that I'm not going to be like constantly working on it. However, I know the question is referring to anything that you have started, so I do have 35. I'd say maybe 5 or 10 of those are things that I've started that I knew I necessarily wasn't going to work on constantly, like something that I specifically started to work in bed in when I don't feel like stitching anything else, something I've started for when I'm on the road, stuff like that. But yeah, so 35. Given up on, I don't think I've given up on anything. There is one project I'm considering restarting because I don't know if I'm happy with the colors that I chose. I'm happy with the very first color I chose, but then the other ones I'm not sure about, so that I would have to think about, but I haven't like completely given up on it, and I haven't thrown anything out. All right, number 3, for reals though, are you enabled easily? I would say not really. If I really want something, I'm gonna get it, whether somebody shows it or not. I think only like once or twice have I actually just dropped what I was doing to go buy something that somebody showed. Most of the time, I'm like, oh, I really want that, but I do think about it and see if I end up deciding to buy it. So I don't really think I'm enabled that easily. Like, if anything, I enable myself. Like, I see something and I want it and I will get it. But I'm not one that usually sees other people get something and gets it because somebody else got it. So, so on that one. All right, number 4. For reals though, do you suffer from SADD, Stitcher's Attention Deficit Disorder? Sometimes. I feel like recently I've been pretty focused. I know it was partially because I was so busy and I was forced to kind of focus on one piece, and I kind of like that, even though I do have a lot of whips, kind of dedicating a decent amount of time to some of the whips that I have going. I don't tend to jump around a lot, but I have days where I will. So there are days where I'm like, oh, I want to work on this, I want to work on this, but in general, once I pick something to work on, I will continue working on it for a decent amount of time. As far as starting stuff, I'd say for a while it was. Obviously I'm doing Stitch Mania, but I'm doing it more for the fun of it, not so much because I can't. I'm sure I could pick a project I wouldn't mind working on for 15 days, or 2 projects I wouldn't mind working on for 15 days. So I'd say yes, I do like to have a lot of starts, but once I pick something, I kind of set myself down and work on just that. All right, number 5. For reals though, have you ever finished a full coverage project like Heaven and Earth, Tilton Crafts, or any large full size? If no, how far have you gotten? I have not. I have started like those really big projects, 2. I do have a Story Keep Heaven and Earth, but I don't consider that huge. It's really like a few pages. It's not that much. The furthest I've gotten, I've done a full page on the large version, so that's about 3/4 of a page. So I would say about 3/4 of one page. So We'll see. I do plan on starting one other Heaven and Earth for Stitch Mania, but it's one of their few non-full coverage, so I don't know if that necessarily counts. But yeah, so that's that. Number 6, for Realz though, do you enjoy confetti? Lots of stitches in different colors. Sometimes. I'd have to say after I've been constantly stitching one color, I don't mind it that much, but it isn't like my favorite thing. And I'm sure I haven't stitched a lot of really big pieces that have tons of confetti, so I can't say I've gotten to the point where I've gotten extremely frustrated with it. But I can see myself getting frustrated sometimes and enjoying it sometimes, so it really kind of depends. With the projects that I have had encountered them, it hasn't been excessive in one go, so I'm okay with it. All right, number 7. For Realz though, how many finishes do you have this year so far compared to, and how does this compare to the WIP UFO number from question number 2? So I have 4, or is it 5? Let's see. I have 5. I'm totally fine with that. I'm getting to the point where I kind of want to get more done. I am doing Mania, so that's 15 more, so that brings my number up to 50, considering I don't start any more besides the 15. I don't foresee myself starting a lot more after Mania. I might start something here and there, but that's going to be my last like multiple start thing for the year. So I would after that like to bring that number back down to maybe, I'd like to get into the teens and kind of stay there eventually. We'll see if that ends up being me or not. I'm still kind of discovering the kind of stitcher I am. I just got excited about all the things that I've been trying and learning about. So that's part of the reason why I have so many projects going and I have so many starts. And also what I mentioned, not every single project is necessarily a constant WIP. It's just started because when I want to stitch it, I want it to be ready to go. I don't want to have to kit it up. I don't want to have to grid if I'm deciding to grid. And there's already a few stitches in it. So yeah, it's almost like they're still kind of part of stash, really, not necessarily starts. If that makes any sense. Am I weirding people out? I don't know. But yeah. So that's, yeah, so I'm okay with it. I do want to get back down to like maybe 15-ish projects, but I know that's going to take a little while, and I'm okay with that. I'm not upset about it. Number 8, for Realz though, are you bothered by your answer in the last question? I just answered, would I rather have a smaller or larger number? Like I said, it doesn't really bother me. I do want to get down to the teens because I think I'm finally at the point where I want to try a rotation. That way I can really see some progress getting done, and I might still do some sort of rotation, just pick some WIPs out of the pile and just work on them. We'll see when that time comes how I'm going to decide to do that. All right, number 9, for Realz though, do you have any perhaps embarrassing dirty little stitchy secrets? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I use knots sometimes. I think, especially when I'm stitching 1/1, especially like for my Heaven and Earth, sometimes I use knots, and I think it's okay. They're very, very tiny knots, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know. That's all I can think of. Yeah, that's all I can think of. And number 10, for Realz though, I dare you to show me your messiest back. So as I mentioned, I only have 3 Heaven and Earth designs going. I haven't gotten very far on them. In fact, you saw 2 of them on my last WIP video, which is the video right before this one. And one I'm doing for the second hay challenge, so I'm doing 1 color at a time, and I'm still on the first color, and it covers a lot of the front page, the first page, so that's not very messy. Same thing with my story keep. I'm working on 1 main color that is like the top few rows, so that isn't very messy. And the other one, it isn't even messy either. It's a black and white chart, so I've only used maybe like 8 colors on it, so again, not very messy. But my messiest back is actually a small section of a project. This is Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory, and I decided to do the March box, which is a phoenix in satins, and that satin thread is a pain to stitch with. And in order to anchor it, I had to use knots, like I mentioned. That's another place I use knots, just because it slips like no tomorrow. And I do have to use Thread Heaven because it's hard to stitch already, which makes it even more slippy. So anyway, I had such a hard time anchoring this thread that this back is so messy. Look at that. It just looks extremely messy to me. There's tons of knots. I had to go under stitches. I mean, compared to like this, look at that. That's pretty neat. That mess right there, that mess right there is crazy. That is actually the messiest phone noise, sorry, the messiest back that I have. So if I do any of the rest of this calendar in satin, which I want to do at least a couple more blocks just so the floss doesn't look random, like in this one spot it's extra silky looking. It's not the most fun floss to use, but it is truly beautiful and I like the effect. So yeah, so there is Adele's For Real So tag. Adele, I hope you enjoyed my answers. Sorry it took so long for me to answer it. I watched your tag right away and I knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't have time till now to get around to it. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, sticking around, commenting, subscribing, etc. I'll see you actually in my third and last video, which is my Stitch Mania plans, and then hopefully not too far long after that. All right, bye.